Hi friends, it's Sarah with a very requested pineapple gnome, and if you'd like to make him with me, just boop, stick around. As always, please give this video a like so I know you're here crafting with me. So here he is. I'm going to tell you a couple ways to make him, some alternatives, and what we need is going to be some fleece, and that will have 2 cuts for the hat, 1 cut for the body per the pattern. Some faux fur, something for a nose, embroidery thread, and a needle that's wide enough for the embroidery thread, scissors, an X-Acto knife, a glue gun, and some green fleece or felt or whatever you have on hand. You can even use greenery for the top of the pineapple. To get started, you can sew this, you can glue this. Now, if you sew this, you'll be done a lot faster, only because you don't have to wait for the glue to dry. I love sewing this because then you can really stuff him kind of chunky. Do leave about maybe an inch at the top so that we can bring this guy together. I'm using a detailed tip Surebonder glue gun. I love this for any fabric gluing project because it is very fine. I mean, you can see there's angel hair pasta thin lines going on that if we want them to, also on my desk. Now this will not be seen, so you can tap it or you can just leave it pressed. Just make sure it goes all the way to that center fold. There are 2 sizes of this you can make, so you can assemble this the same way for both sizes. So I had to get another glue stick, sorry about that, but I'm going to set that aside. So we have the right sides pressed together for our 2 separate pieces for a hat. And I'm going to, you don't have to do this because we're using something that doesn't fray, but I'm going to do a brim on either side of this, folded up and away, meaning you won't be able to see this from the front. This will be hidden on the inside. If you want to do it the other way, you can, where it has a visible brim. The Stout Gnome pattern is a very popular pattern, and I have had a lot of requests to create more inspiration with it. Again, I like to only sell you a pattern one time and give you a ton of inspiration from it. I know other people, may not, but I don't think it's fair to have people pay for the same pattern many, many times, which is why I use the same pattern. This is called the Stout pattern. I will put a link to it below. Again, it's available in 2 sizes and you can sew it or you can hot glue it. For those of you interested in a craft along, yeah, this is real time. This is exactly how long it will take. I will be editing out some stuff in the in a minute you can see, and you'll see why, because it's repetitive and it took me more than 20 minutes to do, so I don't want to have a really long video on YouTube. All right, so while the hat brims are setting, I'm going to cut about a 7-inch piece of felt. This is just craft felt, and I just eyeballed the little crown piece. If you want, you can look up a picture on Google and get a more accurate pineapple crown. However, again, if you're new here, I listen to Audible books and I very rarely stop once I start crafting. All right, so I'm going to not go all the way up to the middle, but I'm going to glue each side of the hat all the way up through the curves and just lightly press those together. I'm going to glue 2 pieces that I created of this just to give it some dimension, so I'm kind of like offsetting them a little bit. And you're going to put the end of, or the bottom of the crown out through the edge of the hat. It doesn't make sense now, but when we turn it over, like flip it right side out, it'll totally make sense. Let me know if you like this format. I am trying new things here on the channel. And for those of you who are only interested in gnomes, gnomes will only drop on Wednesdays until the holiday season. I will probably also be sharing Christmas gnomes throughout the year because I have so many that I've never shared because I don't get enough time in the holiday season. So if you're like me and you start preparing early for the holidays, if you're selling or if you're going to markets, you're gonna love that. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm actually just gluing down the brim or I'm sorry, the edge, the seam, so that I can now glue this piece down about an inch in toward the center. So what we did is we opened the bag to lay it flat to get this diamond base at the bottom. And again, I'm just going to show you exactly the same thing on the other side. A little glue to have this portion sit flat, and then a bit more glue to have this portion fold into the center. You are going to want to hold that or pin that. I'm actually seeing this here a lot. I must have made my seam allowance a little bit bigger than I needed to. Normally I don't have to glue that down. But we are going to set that aside and make sure that no one touches it until the glue is fully dry. Once it is, here you go, just flip it out. Be sure to roll that seam in your fingers. And now, listen, you can do this or you cannot do this. I had an idea for this when somebody asked me. Our next part here is this is just the body, so we're going to put these two pieces aside. So I had somebody ask me to do this gnome probably once every few months for a couple years, and I just felt none of the patterns were cute enough or fit the body style enough. And the other day I was looking up at all my bunnies that I made with this pattern, and I thought, oh, he's a chunky monkey, so let's make him. So this is just embroidery thread gone in through the front and only through this top layer, out through the same side, and then I'm just going to pull it out. I made these different sizes, so this one's only about a 1/2 inch, but other ones I made 1 inch. So I'm basically just starting with 5 inches of thread. You can start with less. I just found it a little bit difficult when they were small to actually knot them. So I just went 3, 2, 3, 2, you know, and I did it on the front and the back of the hat just to give that pineapple look. You can also do it on the back side of the body if you want. So we need poly pellets and Poly-Fil. I'm weighting it with these pellets just because I prefer when I sell items not to have any food items in there. However, you can fill it with rice sealed in an airtight bag. You can also seal it with rocks or fill it with rocks and then use Poly-Fil stuffing to round the body out. In order to close this up, we're just using an unknotted piece of embroidery thread and going in a running stitch, which is just in and out, making sure that back end doesn't come through all the way around. The only trick here is to stay about the same distance away from the edge and come out right next to where you started. That's it. So I'm just going to tuck all of this in and gently and slowly pull this together, making sure all of my Poly-Fil is tuck, tuck, tuck. And then I'm just going to knot this off a couple of times. I do roll it on the table. I get a lot of people, why do you squish it? It distributes the Poly-Fil. One tip about Poly-Fil is while I knot this, I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch me do this. I'm so slow when I tie these things off. But one trick with the Poly-Fil is you can pull smaller tufts of Poly-Fil and they will move around a little bit better, but always over stuff because it will deteriorate over time. All right, so now that we have the body, I'm just going to slip on the hat really quickly, and that's going to give me an idea where to place my nose and my beard. I'm going to scrunch up this bit here so I know exactly how high to cut my faux fur. And if you don't have faux fur, don't worry. Oh, sometimes the Dollar Tree has faux fur that I've never seen white there. You can make a U, you can make a rectangle, you can make a V, any shape. You're just going to use the X-Acto knife to cut the fabric backing only, and you get this really nice, really lush and not hacked off look, and it's a whole lot faster than scissors. All right, I'm gonna just pull that apart, and now I'm trying to find my comb. I knew I had it. Oh, I had a piece of fur fly off there. I hate that, makes me sad. All right, so I'm going to position this fur underneath the hat, making sure all of the top of the fur is actually covered by the sides and the front of the hat. Hot glue, just need a lot of hot glue. I get asked a lot, can I sew this on? Yes, absolutely. You go. If you want to hand sew this, yes, you may. These, however, are not for toys. They are not for children, especially anything with hot glue. Just try and keep these just for display items, decor items, and items to be sold. Stuff like that for adults, right? When I brush it out, I got a good little peek here at the middle. I need to glue that part down right there at the very, very top. So I'll go ahead and do that with some new hot glue. And then I scrunch down my hat, give it a little pinch at the top, and then decide on a nose. Bigger is always better, in my opinion. So I gave him the 1-inch half back or wood flat gnome nose. But you can use anything, an ornament, a clay ball, a bead, a pom-pom, whatever you'd like. Little glue on the top of that nose, and I gently press the hat into place before gluing it all the way around. I don't glue it to the faux fur, but I do add a couple tacks of glue underneath the hat above it. I try and stay on the brim so you can never see any hot glue beams, and then you can just add some more little black if you want on the back of those little embroidery thread pieces, and we're done. That is it for me today. Let me know down below what you think of this. I'll put the link to the stout pattern down there as well.